have my entire studio rearranged so that I can film, because I'm always moving stuff around. Let me get a little bit better covered here. And excuse the way I'm sitting, but I'm one of those people that can never, ever, ever, well, not ever, but almost never, excuse me, sit with my feet flat on the floor. Number one, I'm really short. I'm only like 5'2", maybe 5'3" if I really stretch myself. And no matter what I do, chairs are just too high. Even the short chairs are too high for me. But anyhow, hi, I'm Margaret Lewin, and welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today you can see I'm coming from a totally different spot. I moved the chair. I decided that I wanted to get comfy and do this video. Behind me is my cutting table, and it's cleared off only because I was filming and I really didn't want you to see the mess, so I figured I better clean it off. So grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or anything that you can get to drink, a glass of water, whatever suits you, because today we're going to do a little chit chat. Over the weekend, I was in the middle of doing something and I had YouTube going in the background, which seems to be my sewing partner many times. And I came across a seamstress in England who was doing a sewing tag, but it was directed towards seamstresses. But every time she asked a question, I kept thinking, wow, you know, that really goes to a quilter too. So what I figured I would do was do a quilter's tag. I have no clue if anybody's going to do it with me. I just thought I would answer the 12 questions and that would give you a chance to know a little bit more about me. So grab your cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, grab whatever it is that you feel is the right beverage for you at the moment. And let's get going. So I have my list of questions. The original person that did, this is my calendar. It's my monthly and my weekly calendar, and it stays with me all the time. So that's what that is. The seamstress tag was started by Holly Sews, and I'll leave a link below to her YouTube channel so that you can see it. And there are 12 questions, so I'm going to refer to the paper for the questions. And I'll also put them below. So I would love for you to also do this, and just make certain that you link me into it or send me a link so that I can go view yours. The number one question is, who are you? I am Margaret Lewin, or Margaret Knapp Lewin. I am a quilter. I am a garment maker. I am a long armer. I'm a wife and a mother and a grandmother, and about to become a grandmother to 7 grandchildren. My daughter, our middle daughter, is due any day now. In fact, tomorrow is her due date, and we're really excited. We have no idea of what the baby is, whether it's a girl or a boy. We do know that there's only one, and the reason why I even bother to tell you that one is because I am a mother of identical twin girls, and it is one of the twins that is expecting. So that's who I am. Oh, and I'm also Miss Marker's Quilts, just so that you know. When and why did you start sewing? Well, I think I could talk on this one for about an hour. I came from a family of people who did handwork of one sort or another. My father's mother knitted, and I do mean knitted. She made, I'm one of 6. She made all of us scarves. She made all of us mittens. She made all of us hats. Grandma Knapp was always knitting something. My mother's mother was a seamstress. She could sew anything. In fact, whenever I was younger and I was making clothes, because that's what I started out with, my mother would pin it up to my grandmother. I would go, and my grandmother would do the hemming for me. I was quite blessed in, I lived in a town where I lived in the center of the block. In fact, I think our house was right in the center. And across the street, kitty corner, lived my father's mother. And at the end of the corner lived my mother's mother. So when I would get up in the morning and walk to school, I would walk past my father's mother's and father's house, and then I'd get up to the corner, and there I was rounding the corner at my grandmother's house. And I can still remember as a small girl walking home from school and Grandma Sarah sitting on the porch on her glider just waiting and watching for us kids to come home from school. Now that was all the way through high school, so Grandma was always sitting there. So that's my background. I started sewing because everybody in my family sewed or did something. My mother was a very, very good seamstress, a wonderful seamstress, and to this day still is. My next door neighbor taught us handwork, and that's a whole nother story. Our next door neighbor used to have embroidery classes for us. As I said, I'm one of 6 kids. There were 3 girls in my family, and then one of our best friends lived down the street. They had 3 girls the same age as us. So we would, a lot of times, the 6 of us girls were together, and our neighbor on the other side, who her children were grown, she only had boys our age, and she would have all of us kids in, and she would teach us how to hand embroider. And I can remember Saturday mornings over at Mrs. Langworthy's house for years, just sitting there stitching. She was extremely patient. She never, to my knowledge, charged our parents for it. She just really wanted to hand down this craft that she knew to us. Well, as I got older and spent more time with cousins from out of town, because we started traveling a little bit more, my cousin Betsy is a wonderful seamstress, and we went there for a weekend, and the next thing I knew, I had found a pattern that I really like. My cousin Betsy told me I could make it in this with no problems, and I sure enough made that dress. Now I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a little bit, but that was what started me sewing. I'd seen a pattern for a dress, I really wanted to make it, and my cousin said, you can do anything. So off we went to the fabric store, bought the fabric, bought the pattern, and sure enough, I did get the dress made. What is my favorite or proudest moment? I'm gonna start with my children. They really have been an absolute joy to me. The next thing, if we're going to talk just in the sewing community, I gotta think a little bit. I think so far to date, I can say 2 things or 3 things. I'm gonna start with it had to have been about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. I had a quilt published in McCall's Quick Quilts magazine, and that was just, I was astounded. I just was shocked, and I was really, really proud of what I had accomplished. The next moment was, quite honestly, very, very recently. Hoffman Fabrics purchased 3 patterns of quilts that I designed, and the moment that was my proudest moment was Haley Hoffman sent me a photograph of the quilt that I designed at Quilt Market laying on a bed in Hoffman Fabrics booth. And I will tell you, that was just like an absolute jackpot moment for me. I was really, really proud of that. I've been to Quilt Market a few times, and to have one of my quilts there that I designed with my name on it was really really proud moment for me. In fact, I picked up the phone, I called my mother, I called my sister, we did a merge call, and I screamed and cried, and yeah. So I would think that that was that. What is your most disastrous mistake? I would probably say a quilt that I hand pieced many years ago. In fact, when I got the long arm, I tried to put it on the long arm and it was so not square that I had to take it off. It has still not been quilted because I desperately need to take it apart in order to even get it on the long arm. It's that unsquare. So it's a gorgeous quilt. It's in blues, navy blues and pinks and whites. It's really pretty, but it still hasn't been long armed because the quilt is so not square. Let's see, where is your favorite place to go fabric shopping? I would honestly say Quilt Market. Quilt Market is unbelievable. No, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to tell you Rock, Paper, Scissors in New Jersey. That is my favorite place to go fabric shopping. Second to that would be the Garment District in New York City. I was at both places in the last few months and just loved both of them. Rock, Paper, Scissors is a fantastic little store. It has gorgeous fabrics, every range. It's got brights, it's got real muted tones, just really cool shop. And the Garment District down here in New York City is just amazing. I like both of those. What is the pattern that I've used most? I can't really say that there's a pattern that I've used a lot. I do have a pattern for a dress that I've used quite a bit, but as far as sewing for quilting patterns go, I like to try different things all the time. I have made 4 double wedding ring quilts. They were completely hand pieced and hand quilted. So consequently, I would think that that's probably the pattern that I've used most. I even hand cut them out. They weren't even cut out with a rotary cutter. Time for a drink of something. All right. What is my most dreaded sewing task? My most dreaded sewing task is mending. I don't like to mend at all. I would rather make something brand new than mend. I would rather rip out seams than mend. My husband broke his zipper on his jacket the other day. Now I have to replace the zipper. And I really don't like doing that. Let's see. What is my favorite sewing task? Ironing. I love to iron. I don't know why. And I know I'm probably goofy. But I like to iron. It's just so relaxing. You just kind of stand there and you press or you iron or whatever. But I like to iron. Let's see. What is my favorite sewing entertainment? Well, I have a couple. When I sew at my sewing machine, in between my filming, I have my iPad sitting right next to me, and I'm usually watching either YouTube, Netflix, or I'm listening to an audiobook. Lately, I've been getting into a little bit of audio.com or audible.com, and I am enjoying those quite a bit. So that's usually what I'm doing. I really like watching Netflix though too. So those are the things I do. The next one is printed patterns or PDFs. I think I like printed patterns the most right now, although my studio's getting a little bit overflowing with patterns. So I may have to start going to PDFs. I'm one of those that isn't fantastic about backing stuff up. So consequently, I do like the paper pattern a little bit more. What sewing machine do you use? Well, I have a couple of them. I have a Bernina, and I love my Bernina. It's the 165, and it's the Artista 165, and it does have an embroidery module with it. So that's one sewing machine. I have a Bernina serger for when I sew, and I also have, I'm going to classify my Gamel Statler. I also have a Gamel Statler, and that's what I use to quilt on. So those are the sewing machines that I have. The last question is, do I have any other hobbies? Yeah, I do. So let's go through that list again, because boy, that's a little scary. Let's see. Let's see if I can remember all the different little things that I've learned how to do over the years. I love to learn how to do new things. So I quilt, I hand quilt, I long arm quilt, I sew clothing, I sew household things like curtains and that type of stuff. I can knit, but I'm not very proficient at it. I crochet. I have learned how to do some applique. Let's see, what else do I do? I have, when I've done garment sewing, I actually, through a blog, a blog that I follow, Gertie's blog for better sewing, I think it is. I learned how to make a coat with the collar and how to sew the collar so the collar stands up and does all of that. But we can include that right in the sewing. When I was younger, I did ceramics. My parents did ceramics out of the house. I have learned how to throw clay in the past. What else have I done? I guess that's about it. So yeah, I've done a lot of different crafts. My favorite though, obviously, is sewing. I just really like to sew. I love coming out into my studio and spending my day out here with all of my little things surrounded by me. You can see right there, it's a picture of my daughter who is now in Alaska and her 3 children. So I do have Tucker with me. Tucker's laying right over there, and Rena, she's laying right over there. So I'm gonna open up my book now because there's some people that I want to tag because I'd like to learn these 12 things about them. I'm gonna tag Amanda Wolf, I'm gonna tag Leah Day and Melanie Ham, Professor Pincushion, and Confessions of a Homeschooler. She does homeschooling and she also sews, so I'm tagging her. And I'm also tagging Shiny Happy World. So I hope you'll do this tag along with me so that our viewers can find out more about us. And I'd like to thank you so much for joining me today. If there's a question about me that you have that I didn't answer, leave a comment below and I'll try my best to answer it. So thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'll talk to you again really soon. Bye.